Buongiorno, buon pomeriggio, e buonasera, Lazio world. Welcome to our instant reaction pod. I'm your host, Sean McIntosh, back reunited with my friend Caleb Adams, here to talk Milan, Lazio. I thought Caleb, maybe not thought, I guess I was hopeful because I was coming off of a pretty strong sports week / weekend in my world.
Not me.
I thought I was going to pull off a rarity where all my teams come through with big wins. I had starting off Thanksgiving Day with the Cowboys in a big win against the Chiefs, giving me a little bit of hope that maybe playoffs are realistic. My Dallas Stars are like the second hottest team in the NHL, just launched some incredible new jerseys, big wins. The Texas Longhorns in a big upset over one of our rivals in Texas A&M, ruining their season. They were undefeated, and so it was nice to play spoiler. So was coming off a couple W's, thinking, man, could this be the perfect weekend? And here we are. And it's a 1-0 defeat. So dampers, this holiday weekend. Caleb, how was your Thanksgiving?
Man, it was Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was really nice. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Keep losing you.
Okay, man, I know it's weird. But it was great. Spend time with family, hang out. Sporting wise, it sucked in general. Just the past week has not been good in my world. I'm glad to see you're thriving, though. I'm glad to see my co-hosts and friends smiling and a good attitude. Well, until now, after this game, but
until now, it's always
it was good until now.
Well, let's jump into this one. Not a ton of changes in the starting 11, but one very key one. Vecino in place of an injured Cataldi. The injury woes mounting up here. We lose another critical piece to this side. So we see Vecino. A couple really interesting things. Like one, Tati is back in the squad. We'll talk about him coming back, but he starts on the bench. Pellegrini again getting the nod over Nuno Tavares. This match starts off with what we all thought was a bang. It starts off in the second minute. A free kick comes in. Mario Gila with a cracking header. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better header, right? Like, gets a ton of steam on it, places it, but Mike Magnan with an incredible diving save. And of course, to make matters worse, saves it, hits the crossbar, and of course, it does not go in. So really, really tough. 6-minute mark, Zaccagni cuts off a pass, a really poor pass from Modric, who didn't have his best game here on a one-man counter, starts to see options, but elects to take it on himself. A bit wasteful. 13-minute mark, a nice little 1-2 combination between Basic and Zaccagni, who plays a perfect ball across goal. And this is important because it is almost like for like what happened with Milan when they scored theirs. The difference here, nobody is making that darting run. So Zaccagni is left without an assist, kind of arms up. And again, it's Zaccagni, 32nd minute, just a world-class turn and meg by Zaccagni to get away from his defender, gets a shot off, tight angle. Magnan again making the save. We see Lazio really looking to be the side taking advantage, looks to be the better team on the ball, in possession, getting out of tricky situations. We go into the second half. It is 0-0. And 52nd minute, as I said, this is a nice pass from Fofana to Mori, who plays a ball across, and Leao is there making the run, taps it in. It is 1-0 Lazio. Late in the match, it is finally, 62nd minute, finally, we see Tati Castellanos come into the match. We see Dele Bashiru as well, relieving Dia, and we start to see some more opportunities. I know you and I talked about this, Caleb, started to feel a bit more confident And, we start to see some chances. We start to see a little bit better combination play. Tati, of course, better in hold up, better connecting with his passes. And then it is late in the match, 5 minutes of stoppage time. And we see, again, the circus act that is Serie A. A shot, it's off the elbow. We can spend some time talking about it. Wasn't quite sure on replay. It did look to be a little bit more of a penalty than I originally thought. It is deemed a handball, but a foul on Marusic. No penalty given. Absolute circus show. Lazio loses 1-0 after the final whistle. Caleb, give me your 3 words or less to describe this one.
I know a lot of the attention is going to be on the particular call there at the end. But I want to kind of back up a little bit, look at the overall game as a whole. And my words are going to reflect that. And that's, for me, it's subs too late. I thought that Sadi mismanaged this match, particularly in the second half of the game. I thought we were set up pretty well. Dia, again, continue to start 7 matches straight is still unconceivable to me. I don't understand what Sadi is doing. By far, my least favorite attribute about Sadi is his stubbornness. It was that same stubbornness I saw Casale and saw guys like Patrick put up stinkers week in and week out, not give Gila a chance. We would have never even seen Gila at all if it wasn't for your injuries. Because he was not seeing the pitch, even though we saw Casale putting up stinker after stinker after stinker of a match. Similar vibes here. It's a little bit different with the injury case, but yes, I think that starting Dia was a mistake to begin with, but whatever. Particularly though in the second half, I think that both Tati, Noslin, all the substitutes, Pedro came on a little too late. They should have come in 15 minutes before than they actually came in. You saw that the team was building momentum. There's more belief. They were generating attacks. As soon as the subs came in, that unit of 4, and it made a difference. I just think that they didn't have enough time to make a difference. Even Noslin, in the few minutes he got, was able to create something and looked active and lively. Just comparing that to what we saw from Dia and Saxons, particularly in that front 3, it's just one of those things where you got to make the tough call. At worst, you give them to the 60th minute of the second half. If they show anything, okay. If not, pull them out, put in a new unit for the attack outside of Zaccagni in the midfield. But I do think that Sadi largely mismanaged the match. He also had Basic playing as sort of a regista role near the end there as well, which I find a little bit odd. I think Basic has been a better or late arriver in the box and more of a box-to-box presence than he is. I think kind of wasted back there personally. But anyways, I think there was a game there to push for the draw at the very worst. But I think that some of those changes came a little too late.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I mean, look, I just we were texting a little bit about this. Vittorio Campanilla of Lazio Lounge had a really good tweet about, I think it was something along the lines of, imagine what this side would be if Sadi was given a proper squad. And, truly the way he has us playing, where we're at in the table, honestly, it's a miracle. He's absolutely gotten about as close to like maximum value results out of this squad as I think you could get. We know the limitations, the compounding injuries, and he's doing it with a squad of misfits, for lack of a better word. And but there are some things that we question, and the fact that Dia continues to get as much time as he does has been really, really frustrating. So, but I will say, and I know, Sadi, for as stubborn as he is and has been, has been making adjustments, has tried different players, has given guys some opportunities. So I don't know. It's odd for me. My 3 words, I really struggled with this, but one moment killed. Again, it's we talked about this going into the second half. It was like, man, I felt like we were the better side. We have some chances. The Gila chance, Zaccagni with a tough one. it would have been probably a mistake by Magnan had he scored it. But we had this feeling that all it was going to take was one chance for Milan, and we were going to feel hard done by. Now, very deserving goal, brilliant from them. We can talk about Gila's positioning there, but it was one moment that killed us. When you take a look at overall match, like 54% possession to Milan's 46. I was a little bit surprised that, Lazio dominant in the possession there. Expected goals, I'll be honest, surprised that Milan 1.56 to Lazio's 0.68. At the end of the day, Milan started accruing some shots. They had 16 total shots to Lazio's 9. Only 4 on target. Lazio as well, 4 on target. But 2 big chances missed from Lazio to 1 from Milan had 1 big chance. And of course, they converted on that one. We had 2 big chances, both misses here. Again, one moment where I felt like we had been so sound defensively, and one chance in the box and they finish. They've got Leao on the end of theirs, and we don't quite have that on our side. So bit disappointing there. Caleb, talk to me what overall you feel like was the difference here, because I thought it was 2 pretty evenly matched sides when you think about like the overall play of the game, but particularly in that first half, I thought Lazio was playing much, much better. So what ultimately you feel like led to us losing this one? I know you mentioned like the late substitutions.
Well, I think that ultimately the reason why we end up losing and why the late substitutions tie to that is just the lack of quality that we had up top. On that particular goal, the only goal that they scored, it was Leon who goes up. Guess what? He gets one decent ball in the box. He makes that run. He isn't lazy. He doesn't sit around and just isn't 2 steps behind. He's very aware that the ball's about to come in. Guess what? He runs in behind Gila. Gila is, in that particular case, makes an individual mistake, I believe. I loses his man. A lot of times, it might be Marusic that you could maybe blame Marusic in that case, coming into run there. But I do think it was closer on Gila's side. Gila was really marking nobody on that particular play. Marusic had someone else over there on that side. But with that said, there was one ball that came in. It was a quality ball. Lazio had some quality balls into the box this game, I feel. Not an insane amount, but certainly ones with enough quality and potential that if someone's on the end of it, that's a real goal scoring opportunity.
Yep.
Difference is Milan had Leon at the end of that, and Lazio had Isaacson and Dia who didn't even make the run. I think it really does come to that. I think that we'll go into our bidones of the match, but someone like Zaccagni, I think, just plays at a faster tempo and pace than some of the guys around him. Particularly Dia. Dia seems to be just like 1 or 2 steps behind everyone else in the attack. Isaacson at times is a little slow to recognize things. But even then, you can even also go to the midfield. Like, where's Guendouzi? That's the opposite side of Guendouzi. Basic is on that side. Opposite side of that play is Guendouzi. Where's he that whole play? Like you see the ball. If you're a midfielder on the right side, your left winger gets the ball, is going into the box. Zaccagni is looking to make that square pass into there. Like, you need to be making a run on the opposite side. That's basic football. That's basic soccer principles. It doesn't matter who, even if you're a midfielder or attacker, just like, hey, it's going the opposite side. Hey, let's look to make a run. And I think, unfortunately, the players that would have made those runs were sitting on the bench.
Yeah. I mean, look, there is a real lack of, and I say hunger for goal, not necessarily like, look, all these guys want to score. I'm sure there is a desire for it, but there's a real lack of footballing IQ of when and where to make their runs, with real desire and hunger for scoring these goals. You see the difference. I mentioned it in the lead up, and maybe we'll have to clip this, Caleb, taking that 13-minute mark. Again, the 1-2 between Zaccagni and Basic, Zaccagni playing that ball across, compared to the 52nd minute goal with Leao, Fofana, Tomori, Leao at the end of it. Like, that's the difference right there. Like, 2 very similar plays The other one has Leao with a real hunger, and you just don't see that from anybody except for Zaccagni. Zaccagni in the 47th minute, just another display, like makes a run to win the ball, like fight up, getting to the ball first. And nobody else is really, really doing that in a way that puts any sort of pressure. And it's just, goodness gracious, it's frustrating. Aside from and that's what one of the things about Totti is, he does have that real hunger, and he's kind of in and around. He's fighting for balls, but these past few weeks without him, it's just been Zaccagni on a lone island. So before we shift to our Bidone, want to talk man of the match for me, Caleb. It was Zaccagni. I tweeted about this, just a captain's performance from everything that he always does so well. He is a foul winner, the pressure, consistently earning fouls. He obviously had a couple chances on goal, had a couple great passes that should have found somebody. And, I think there was a moment in the match where he is fighting back, slide tackles, wins the ball, and then one-man counter up the field. Just a remarkable sequence from him, doing any and everything he can. And I just can't imagine the frustration. I know we both kind of were upset with him early in the match, where he has that turnover off of Modric, head of steam, goes up the field, and it's a wasteful counter. And then as the match went on, I was like, well, you know what? I can see why he didn't pass that ball off, because nobody else is doing a damn thing with it. So I appreciated the fact that he went and attacked. And I know sometimes we it's this double-edged sword, particularly with wingers. We live in a world now where so many wingers aren't taking people on. And then, they're cycling the ball, and then we get mad. We're like, I miss the old days where wingers are attacking players. And then when they attack and they put their head down and turn the ball over, we get mad, and we're like, they should have passed the ball. So, I appreciate that Zaccagni is always head down, trying to attack. And so today was another one of those matches. And I think he stood the tallest when I think about the other players on Lazio. Who did you have as your man of
Yeah, no, I think Zaccagni definitely had a shout. He did create the best opportunities of the night. Was huge on both sides of the ball, made some big tackles. I'm going to go a little bit different. I'm going to go with Romagnoli, who I thought was excellent as well today. I do think defensively the team was quite good. They really were quite good and really compact as a unit. The team has been really solid. And to be fair, I felt really comfortable going. I felt really comfortable throughout the match. I was like, man, after the first 20 minutes, I think a lot of times, unfortunately, maybe this is a bad thing, but sometimes I can, with this Lazio side, I can kind of tell, in the first 15, 20 minutes that it's man, we're in for a long game, or okay, we're up for this. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but in this case particularly, I was like, you know what, we're up for this. This is good. We're up for this game. Organization is good. And I'm going to give it to Romagnoli on the defensive side, because I thought he was pretty much near perfect today for the most part. If you read some of his stats, he had 2 tackles, 4 interceptions, 2 blocks, 3 clearances, 8 recoveries, was not dribbled past once, won 67% of his ground duels. Even his long balls, he was 67%, 2 out of 3 for his long balls. He had 7 passes into the final third. Just overall, I thought he had a really solid game. Was 97% in overall for passing. I thought Romagnoli played a very vintage Romagnoli performance. No BS. If anything was going to come, it was going to come from the other side, and sure enough, it did. That goal that they scored did not come from passing a ball anywhere in the vicinity of Romagnoli. It would happen to be on the other end, on the other side of that back four. That's where the goal came. And so for that reason, I thought Romagnoli was right up there with Zaccagni in terms of the standout performers who really showed up, came to play in this big momentum and this big occasion.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned him. I really thought he deserved a shout. There was so many moments too where he was a lot higher up the pitch, winning the ball, very Gila like, and just super sound. And in every phase. So we talked so much about him last year as just kind of an unsung hero. Again, continues to blow my mind that he does not get any opportunities with the national team, and we're kind of stuck and forced to watch Mancini versus somebody like Romagnoli, who has lifted a Scudetto with this Milan side as captain. So good shout there. Let's talk Bidone, Caleb. I'll kick this off just because I'm so tired of talking about it, but and we can go into other players, but it's Dia. It's always Dia. It's like the world record. Even at man, just you asked the question like you can't recall hating or disliking a player or having a player that's like so unvaluable right now than him, and you might be right. Like I don't know. He's brutal in every possible facet of the game. It's 11 via 10 when he's on the field. So I'm tired of talking about him. It's excruciating. I'm hopeful that we don't have to talk too much about him any longer now that Tati's back, but give me your Bidone because it's clear cut for me.
I mean, I'm also bored too at this stage of saying Dia is just, you can't get away from it. It's just so painfully obvious that he looks like a Serie B player right now. He does not look like a Serie A quality player. And I don't know what it is. I just think he's playing in a position he's not comfortable in at this point because, Dia had 9 goals for us last season. There were a lot of times where we felt like he was a boost to the team. It's just bizarre. And I just think the biggest crime of all isn't even Dia. It's Sadi. It's Sadi seeing this on a weekly basis and going, you know what? I'm going to throw him right back out there again. Like,
what is Knopfler doing in training? Whose mother did he sleep with?
Bro, he got Sadi's nudes or something. I don't know what's going on because it not only does it hurt the team and the perception of Dia, but when you put a player that clearly is uncomfortable, you're also like trashing his worth and value for any potential future signings. You're not letting him get and sit down and sort of review his own play. Like, I think you're also hurting Dia yourself in starting him every one of these matches, and he's clearly not up to par. And particularly playing in a role that he may not be comfortable with. You're sabotaging the player at that point. And that's like in addition to the whole team, because the whole team has suffered because of this. Guys like Zaccagni just have no confidence to play to someone like Dia. There's no sort of interplay between them. You come in. I'm going to look right now. I'm very curious to see what the expected goals stats look like between him and Tati. Tati played about 25 minutes less. I'm looking at his stats here, and according to here, he had 0 expected goals, but had 0.01 assists. Let's go look at Tati's profile here. Tati came into the game, and where is he? There he is. Came to the game. Tati has 0.1 expected goals and 0.1 assists. He 10 times. Those are not crazy numbers. It's limited time, but he 10x'd Diaz overall stats over the course of around 70 minutes, and he 10x'd it in a 25-minute appearance.
It took one touch for us to see the difference. One touch on the ball where Tati wins the ball, turns up, earns a foul, and it was like, look, a little bit of hold up, earns the foul. And in less than 10 minutes, he gets Tati, that ball over top. You remember, like, a ball gets played over top, and Tati, fantastic movement kind of around the defender, gets his foot out, gets a shot on frame. If he gets his full foot on that, it's a goal. Like, he places it, just didn't have enough steam on it. But in less than 10 minutes, we've seen more from Tati than the weeks we've had with Dia.
And then even right there, he receives a pass. Dele Bashiru makes a run down the left wing. He turns, slots him right through. Dele Bashiru just a little bit offside. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know about you, but I felt a sense of relief. It was like a weight off my shoulders. I'm like, oh my goodness, someone competent up top, like just doing the bare minimum right. Like that's how you know how bad a player has been. When you get excited about simple things like taking a touch, winning a foul, and you're like, heck yeah.
Yeah, we're cooking. We're cooking
Let's
now.
go. We're so back.
Yeah, like it's prime freaking Messi
We
up
are
there.
so back.
Yeah,
That's how
it's
you
terrible.
know we're down bad with Dia. But I also want to talk about. I thought Guendouzi was quite poor today as well. I think he's been off pretty much most of the season. I have not been impressed with Guendouzi. He's been really weird in some of his decision making and passing. He's lost the ball. He's not been so secure anymore.
15-minute mark. He turns the ball over in a danger zone. We're just fortunate that Milan wasn't able to capitalize, and it was an absolute head-scratching turnover by Guendouzi, just to like hammer home your point.
That reminded me of Saxon giving up that ball, and then Inter smash it. Lautaro grabs it, smashes it in, boom. I was like, he made that pass, I'm like, oh my gosh, deja vu against the other Milan team. Now, I thought they pick it up, pass it to Leão, boom, goal. Right? Thankfully, it didn't happen, but ultimately it didn't matter. But anyways, yeah, I have been really disappointed with Guendouzi, who has been, I think over the past course since he came in initially under Sadi, who we have consistently praised as like one of the most consistent players on this team, who just at the very least has a great effort, great hustle, great pressing ability. But even that aspect has not been the same or to the degree it was before. And to be fair, under Baroni plays a man-to-man system. So a lot of the guys like literally chase people down across the field because that's part of the system. Saudi defense is a zonal one. So that there is in theory less chasing. And so, you defend, go to the next zone. The other guys picks them up. Regardless, though, Guendouzi has not been the same. And those rumors going around about him of potentially leaving. I don't know. Initially for me, Guendouzi was a guy like untouchable. But frankly, with the position that we're in now, financially and needing to make funds, he's a player that it wouldn't make me the most mad, quote unquote, sacrificing if we had to build up some funds and maybe getting I don't know, but that's another conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think Guendouzi had a bad game, and then I think Gila had a couple bad moments that were really costly today as well.
Yeah, I think just to touch on Guendouzi, when you think about it, again, how pivotal he was for this side, and we always talked about like our foundation, Rovella and Guendouzi. Guendouzi, a far cry of that player that we saw. So much so that when he's on the pitch, like we've talked about him being kind of second fiddle to Toma Basic now. Like Basic is much more a key figure right now than Guendouzi. And today, and then we've had Cataldi, who we know is like stepped up in a big way. Well, now you've got Vecino. I thought Vecino was better today than Guendouzi, who just stood out 100%. A little bit
I thought
more.
Vecino was quite good, actually.
Yeah,
I thought he was quite decent.
You start going down this pecking order of like, well, this midfielder's playing better, this midfielder's playing better, this midfielder's playing better before you get to Guendouzi, who's just been like, yeah, in a couple like key mistakes that didn't punish us directly today, but he's been a shell of himself. And then to your point, Gila, which interesting, FootMob has him as one of the highest rated players today. I thought he was not at his best. Obviously, when I think about Gila, I think about him being an absolutely class player, and his just all of the technical abilities, the physical attributes to be a world-class center back. And today, he was good up until two very key moments in which he wasn't. One, which we talked about, we were punished by Leão, and he wasn't where he needed to be. And then we were very fortunate that Fofana, who is like stumbling downfield, somehow just a one-man wrecking crew. And you see the replay of just how bad Gila was. 1v1 with Fofana of all players. We were just fortunate that Fofana stumbles over himself, because that was an opportunity for Milan to really put the game away much sooner. So, I didn't think Gila, again, like as a center back, you're not really allowed to have big gaffes, and all the other positives and all the things that he does well gets wiped away when you're just not covering and doing your primary responsibility. So, I think he absolutely deserves a shout. So, taking a look at the table now, Milan, if we can draw some positives here, it is that Milan now sits atop the table. They have played 13 matches, so Roma, Napoli, Inter, all still on 12. But at least we can look at the table here and not have to stomach Roma being atop the table. Milan sitting there with 28 points, Roma second at 27, Napoli 25, and then Inter wrapping up the top four with 24 points. But Bologna and Como right there, level on points, rounding out all of those European spots. So Lazio sitting in eighth at 18 points, a real missed opportunity here. And look, we're gonna get our chance at redemption. Midweek match, December 4th, Thursday, Coppa Italia, round of 16 against Milan. Caleb, just thinking about that one before we, turn our attentions back to Serie A next week against Bologna, another tough team. But let's briefly look ahead. Coppa Italia, it's against this same Milan side. What do you want to see in terms of lineup? Because we haven't had to talk about rotation and what that looks like without European play. But here's a midweek match, our first midweek match in another competition all season. What do we do?
Man, personally, I would go all out for this game. I would like to see Saudi put out a similar lineup to what we saw at the end of this match here. I would like to see Noslin, Tati, and Zaccagni have a run at that front three. Give some minutes to Bashiru to start, as maybe give Guendouzi a break or Basic. I mean, I hate that we're not utilizing Belayan. I really hate it. It seems, that's again, the stubbornness of Saudi is the thing that just irks me the most about him, is just refusing to, he completely shuts down a player, discounts them completely, seeing them once or twice, and they're done for the season.
Yeah, he'll hold a mistake over you for a long time. Belayan came in, a red card. I think he may have had a couple other really, really tough fouls where you can see the decision making maybe wasn't there. And we saw this with Pellegrini too, right? Under Saudi was like, hey man, couple bad decisions and you're gonna have to fight like hell to get back in his good graces. And I think that's what we're seeing with Belayan.
Yeah, no, exactly. So you're down another midfielder. Like, this is a chance to really, and even if you don't rate him, play the man, see what he has. Worst case scenario, he does okay, and you saw him. He has a little more value in January. Like, this is not helping the case to build funds either for Saudi, because it's like you have a chance. We have nothing. We're not chasing top four right now. Like, we're a mid-table team. I mean, we're just hanging right in the middle. We're not really competing for anything. Play him. You have nothing to lose. And if he does great, you still don't rate him, but he's phenomenal. A, you keep him around and keep playing him. B, you sell him for a bigger fee than maybe you would have originally. Again, the Saudi's stubbornness is what, again, just really bothers me. But I would like to see Tati start, Zaccagni start, Nelson start. If not Nelson, Pedro, I'll be okay with Pedro starting in that game too. Take off one of Basic or Guendouzi, start Dele Bashiru, who I thought was pretty decent today. I thought he made good runs, was involved in quite a bit of our attacks. He's not super polished, but he also hasn't played in months. Considering that, I thought he was pretty decent. But I would love to go all out for this, because I don't have any belief we're going to finish European spots this year. So you might as well try and win a little trophy. And this is one of the few chances we have. This is the only one we have outside of, winning the league, which is not happening.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same page, except, I think we're going to say the same thing. It's go all out, but I think we do want to see some rotation. So, it's not going to be a go all out and have our best 11 if we're talking about rotating some of that midfield to give other guys a chance. I do want to see, to your point, I think injuries have been a concern, but I do want to see Tati just coming back. He needs more match time, so this is a good opportunity to start ramping him back up. I would like to see him and Zakani on that right wing. Like, might as well rotate. Why not give Naslin a chance, or at least run Pedro, and give him his 45 to 60 minutes.
Yeah.
And then that midfield, I do think it needs a bit of rotation. Like Toma Basic has been playing nonstop. We have Delebashiru now. Like it is a good opportunity to kind of get him match fit. I think, Vecino just now got a start and back, so he should be fine. I can't imagine he goes with Belayan.
I'm
I
not
would guess
happening.
that Vecino and Guendouzi, but yeah, it would be nice to give Guendouzi a bit of a rest. In that back line, would be interesting to see if he gives Nuno Tavares a chance to start. And then here's
even Profsgaard.
So that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask. Here's the debate. Between Roman and Gila, I'm probably more concerned about Gila, given the way he plays. He's cramped up a few matches. Like, he would be the one. If I had to sit one, I would choose Gila. Profsgaard, that left-footed center back, would generally play in Romagnoli's spot. Do you go with a pairing of Romagnoli and Profsgaard, or do you slot in like?
I like the idea of slotting in Profsgaard for this game. I would love to keep seeing him get minutes, get reps in this league. I think Profsgaard is the future of our center back core. Whenever Romagnoli, Gila inevitably is going to be gone at the end of the season, I believe. And so I think the sooner you can start repping that Profsgaard Romagnoli duo, why not? And Profsgaard it isn't like it doesn't feel like a huge risk either, because Profsgaard has been so solid whenever he's come in. He's sort of he's very intelligent. He doesn't try to do too much, but he's also good enough in the air, good enough on the ball to where you can. He's not a liability in possession either. I really love him a lot. I'm a big fan of his, and I would like to see him play this next match. Give Gila a little bit of a break, because he always has that bad injury that keeps him out a month to 2 months. Let's try maybe protect him a little bit more. Same reasoning, thought process of the midfield. They've just seen a lot of games, a lot of minutes. So I would love to see Profsgaard back in this game. And Tavares, I would love to see Tavares start too. Like, just really go for it. I mean, I think Zakani, Tati, Nosen, Pedro trio up top with Tavares coming in that, like, we'll find the back of the net. I feel very confident that we can score a goal. And if we score that goal, if we score it first, then we can be a little more conservative. Throw Pellegrini in there as a substitute. Throw Guendouzi back there, Basic to hold it down. Like, I'd rather us. I think we will be going for it harder than Milan, and so I think we might as well just hit him as much as we can at the start. Then just kind of playing it safe, in a game like a league game like this one. But yeah, I hope that's how Saudi approaches it. I think he will. I just feel like there's nothing else to compete for this season, so you might as well.
I think switching it up too and just going all in a much more aggressive, attack-minded approach will throw Milan on their heels a little bit. So 100%. I like it. Before we close this out, I'm going to give you a platform to talk about the decision at the end of this Milan match. You had a good little kind of rant on Twitter, but what, like, your take? Because when I first saw it, I very much thought there was no way it could be a penalty. I thought it would have been embarrassing had it been ruled a penalty. And that was from, the first angle. Then we saw it from additional angles. I changed my mind on this. But ultimately, the way the decision came about and what they ended up coming to is what really threw me off. So, Caleb, let's hear your thoughts on the penalty decision and what happened at the end of this match.
I think that initially I also was like, I don't know. But then particularly the replays that I saw, it was clear that it was a handball. And I think the biggest, I'm gonna go right into it. The biggest problem I had with this call was the explanation of the referee. The referee admitted it was a handball, said it was a handball. However, it is being basically chalked off because there was a foul from Marusic prior to that. Now, had they reviewed that call and been, hey, there was, because it was initially not called a penalty on the field, and I'm very much of the belief of, hey, unless it's clear and obvious error, the call on the field should stand. I believe that even if it goes against my own team, I think that's how VAR should be implemented. But it just couldn't feel. It just felt so egregious that the referee called it a handball, and because it was he said it was a handball, clear handball. I also think that the position that Pavlovic's arm was at, like if your elbow's out here, that's not a natural position in soccer, and it's never going to be a natural position. Had his arm been here and hit there, no, of course not. But his arm was not there. He even recognized that his arm. He had a chicken wing out. Chicken wing is a penalty call 100% of the time in soccer. You can't have chicken wing in the box. He immediately recognized that. Snapped his elbow back to his body to try and see if he could get away with it. The ref saw it was a clear handball. Said it publicly to all of us to hear, and then deemed that it was not a penalty because of a foul from Marusic, who, keep in mind, was looking forward with Pavlovic on his back, being hugged by two arms from Pavlovic, while Marusic has literally the only case there is Marusic is holding on to Pavlovic's shirt kit a little bit from behind him. But again, like you're in a position, you do not have the advantage as an attacker in that position. If you have a guy behind you bear hugging you with both arms, you're not in the aggressor position on a foul. So I just I hate to say corruption. I hate to say the league is against Lazio, but it is so bizarre to me that it was deemed a handball but wiped off from a completely non-existent foul from Marusic. And for the Milan fans are going to say, but he was holding the jersey a little bit from behind. Okay, if holding the shirt like that is a foul and a corner kick, then we should be calling 4 to 6 fouls on every single corner kick. Like those tussles, the grabbing, the kind of vying for position, that is like a unspoken rule with all of us that, hey, you can do that and you can get away to a certain degree on that. So if that is called a foul, then any other, anything else like that in the corner kick should also be called a foul, but they're not. And that's a very standard thing across football across the world. So
and in comparison to the holding that Pavlovic was doing on Marusic, it is so again, both are tugging. One man has his arms wrapped around the other.
Yeah, completely.
Absolute insanity. Again, if you want to say not clear and obvious, we didn't call it a pen, it's not a handball, I would have been fine. What, not a handball? Okay, didn't think it was a handball on first look, not clear and obvious. But as you said, quote unquote, the mental gymnastics to not give Lazio the pen is what makes this an absolute circus. Truly an insane no call there to say it was a penalty and then not give it.
That is the main thing. That had he said, the ball, the elbow was in a natural position, no penalty, I would have been like, that's still not, I don't think, the right call, but okay, fine. But the fact that the ref said it himself,
handball,
it just said that's a handball, 100%. But Marusic got a foul, so it's not a handball. It seemed like the most it's like the most corrupt way to go about something. Of you're trying to be fair, it was a handball, but there's it is so disingenuous. That's what infuriated me about that call. Like I said, had he said that's not a handball, I would have been less upset and concerned And I mean, livid about that call, but that just took me over the edge. It just is unbelievable. I mean, what a joke. This is an absolute joke. Sadi said it himself. Sadi said it himself that Serie A referees are not up to par. He basically says they're unqualified for the jobs. Like, what are we doing? These referees are unqualified for the jobs. Sadi himself has said this on multiple occasions, that they are not fit to be referees in this league. And sure enough, this particular referee had only coached Serie B up until this game. This is a Serie B coach referee for this match. For a match for Lazio Milan, we're giving a Serie B referee. Sadia had a point. The referees in this league are just completely unfit to be doing that. But regardless, that's why we have to win the game without the referees and without relying on them. You can't rely on them.
That is that, folks. Whether we're playing at San Siro or the Circus, sempre forza.